Shut up and sit down.
Missing valuable content.
He was being a whiny little bitch about, we're doing the show during the game. I'm like,
well,
it's
isn't
the
it?
Dolphins and Jags.
I know.
Okay.
Well, you don't want to miss out on the Gardner Minshew experience.
Well, no, actually,
the Gardner Minshew experience.
I kind of cheered for him last year because he was such a unknown underdog kind of guy, and so I honestly,
he's a cheese dick, but
that's fine.
I will tell you this much.
I like underdogs, guys that aren't supposed to be good.
What cracked me up is everybody was on his bandwagon after week 1, and he got his ass handed to him in week 2.
He still played
That's
well.
what I loved. It's
he still played well.
He still played well. He still played well.
He played okay, but not good enough to win. I mean, you could say, hey, Matt Ryan played awesome, but he lost the game. And if you were to ask him, he'll be like, we lost.
I would rather win.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's it.
He'd rather suck and win the game.
Right. He's like, I'll play like shit. Kind of like Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is sitting there going, I didn't play well, but my team got a win. So I'm pretty freaking happy.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. So
fair enough.
That's how that goes. I'm a Gardner fan. I mean, I'm rooting for the kid, but he's just they're not any good. I know people want him to be.
No, right.
But John, you might be right. I listened to the AFC picks earlier today, the one we did way back. And you're like, seriously, I think Houston will fall behind Jacksonville. And so I got to laughing at that today because I'm like, he might have been onto something.
I mean, to be fair, though, they played the Chiefs and the Ravens, which are the two best teams in the AFC.
Houston, yes.
So it's tough to see how they stack up against a team like Jacksonville.
No, yes, you're right.
The great thing is we'll get to see it.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We'll get to see it. Twice. So
twice.
Yeah,
the beauty of that game, huh?
That's it. All right,
let's
get this party started.
Let's get it going.
I'm ready.
Everybody, welcome into the Pigskin Pricks. We're on week 3. We survived the first 2 weeks of the season. And guess what? There is another bag winner who is not wearing a bag.
I'm virtually pulling it on. I actually meant to. I've had a day that most people don't like to have, so that's just a bad excuse. I was going to prepare a bag. If my mother was listening, she'll listen to the show after this, but if she was here, she'd attest to the fact that I told her even what kind of bag I was going to wear and what I was going to do with that bag, and I didn't do it. So I'm a bad person, and that's all there is to it.
I expect you to prepare it.
But one of the statements I was going to make was I may be 0-3 this week, but 2-4. Yeah, no, 3. Wait a second, I can't even do math. 2-4 is still better than 1-5.
Fair enough.
That's all there is to it.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say, and I'm pointing down here.
I'll give that to you. Dude, I was just lucky I didn't go 0-3 again. I actually thought I was headed that direction. But like I said, the NFL, it was pretty obvious I was going to win that because I was up by such a large margin.
You were kicking ass.
So I'm like, okay.
I wasn't going to wear the bag the whole time also because I don't feel totally ashamed. There's no way I would have won 2 games. No matter what I would have done, 2 of the games I wasn't going to win, and one of them I got my ass handed to me so bad. This dude did so good compared to my team, it didn't matter. One of the leagues I could have won, which is our league, the ESPN one where we're all together, and I lost to a good friend of me and Joe's. And if I would have played it perfectly, which means play Matt Ryan and play Taylor, right?
Yeah.
And he's running back. Instead of playing Himes, no, I don't know who the fuck it was. Oh, Saquon again, and somebody else who scored 0 points. I didn't
who's going to bench Saquon Barkley?
You
don't do that. And then some other guy that I played that got 0 points, I think. So I'd had to play perfect to barely beat the guy, barely win. Yeah. So it could have happened. So I take a little bit. I'm like, that's not as likely. The other 2 just didn't matter, but I did lose.
Well, I played perfect in CBS and lost.
Yeah.
That happens.
When we do the stats, I do want to do a quick stat. So CBS is the only one I pulled up. And by the way, Joe, how much are we hating Evan right now? Because that motherfucker went 3-0 the first week. Yeah. And this week he went 2-1, and the son of a bitch was going to lose 2 games. And I was feeling good because it's he's in the same group with us. He's struggling. Yeah. And fucking Alvin Kamara just pulled it out for him by this much.
We outscored him. And he still won.
Yeah, so
it's
Good
Really?
Kudos, you did go to. You've got a winning record still. You're kicking our
5-1
asses.
all
Say,
three.
We can't help
but-
that he's lucky who he
you,
plays every week.
You did get lucky, dude.
There's
The
a
one
lot of
loss.
shit
Here's the
in
thing,
that.
though. The one loss that I
You
had,
didn't matter.
I
Didn't
would have
matter.
beat 9 of the other teams in the league. So
Yeah.
the one
Well,
loss that I
that's the way
had,
I was in CBS.
So I could have been 6-0, but
Yeah.
lucky.
But
It
you
just
weren't.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. So
All
it is
right.
what it is.
But you
Let's
did,
get to picks.
we do give you kudos. Hey, no. We
What?
can't get to picks yet.
Oh yeah, not yet.
Beers.
Right. What beer are we drinking,
Let's
Evan?
intro into the beers. What are you guys drinking?
Oh yeah.
Tell me.
You got to go first.
Enlighten me
hey.
with the beers.
You know, tonight I went extremely simple. I've drank this beer for a very long time. I have not drank it on the show yet. You guys will be way familiar with this, or maybe
Is
you
that
won't.
a
I don't know.
Stella? That looks like a Stella.
It is a Stella. I
All I
just
just see
decided
was
to
the
drink
top.
a nice
Right.
Stella Artois, a nice lager beer. It's delicious. I mean,
Did you say you're drinking a Stella Menage a Trois? Is that what you said?
yeah, Menage a Trois,
Exactly.
69 licks.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I
Yeah.
wouldn't say it's great, but I mean I'll give it a 7.3. I mean it's better than the Bud Light,
Solid.
but I mean it's
I think it's even better than that, but that's still a good rating. That's a
yeah. I mean,
it's a very safe, quality
yes,
foreign
Yeah.
beer. Almost anybody can
very
drink.
very safe.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, guys, this is the problem of doing these shows and not looking back for a while.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I did this beer before or not. I did by the same people,
Okay.
but I don't know that I did this one. Do you guys remember if I did Ruby before? I mean,
I don't remember her. No.
there's 3 different beers with chick names on them from this company, and so I did one of them.
Yeah, I don't
don't-
remember that one.
So if I did Ruby, forgive me. What we'll do is see if I rate it the same the second time if I
Right.
did do
Yeah,
Ruby
right.
before. The fun part is saying, did I do Ruby?
Right. Have you
Well, I
drank
hold
that?
it-
Do you remember
Did I
drinking
hold
that?
the chick, in front of me? Did I do Ruby?
Oh.
My wife better not hear that. I haven't. If I didn't drink it, I haven't drank it before. I've only drank in one of these from this people,
Okay.
even though I bought 2 of most of them.
All right, give it a shot.
Let's
So-
see what we got here.
I obviously didn't pour it in the glass because it's kind of a cool can, as you said.
Yeah, you can't get rid of Ruby.
Ruby, redhead. Gosh, that's good. So it's an American red ale, by the way, which is why the name's Ruby. See, I think
Right.
I drank like a pale last time, so I don't think it was the same beer, but
Okay.
you never know.
Okay.
And I think there's a Pilsner too. So Ruby reminds me of Killian's Red, which is also a red ale, but better. And I like Killian's Red, but it's, regular,
Me too.
decent price. Like when I was growing up and younger, it was easy to drink and but still had flavor versus a Bud Light or a
Yeah.
Bud. Wow. I want to go. So I realized, Joe, me and you were doing too many like 8s, 8.5, or just point something. So you did a 7.3 I like. I decided I was going to start doing more interesting numbers.
Yeah.
So we're going to give this an 8.314.
Wow. Okay.
8.3.
8.314.
Fantastic, man.
That's
and
pretty
8.3 though, that's
Wow.
high.
The more I
Yeah.
drink it, it's good. It's got a really nice flavor. Like I said, it's like Killian's if you like, right? But it's flavorful for an ale.
I actually
really
one of
nice
my-
flavor.
When we were back in high school, or just out of high school, remember Red Dog?
Yes, that was pretty good for cheap.
I
beer.
liked it a lot. Yeah, I used to drink it a lot.
That-
It wasn't expensive. It
And
was
it
kind of like
wasn't-
Killian's Red, actually. I mean, they were similar.
So I'm going to
Um,
give one away. It's like a beer that I like now that's cheap that I've thought about doing. Ice House. You guys like
Ice House.
Ice House? I like
I've had
Ice
Ice
House.
House.
It's a cheap, shitty beer.
Yeah,
I like it.
yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, so if we're going to talk just a minute about shitty beer, my shitty beer would be Rolling Rock.
That's a good shitty beer too. It's a little more mellow. It's crisp, clean.
That's
refreshing.
correct. Yeah. So if cheap shitty beer, I'll drink a Rolling Rock. But they're hard to find. You can't just walk into
Right.
a bar and say, "Hey, give me a Rolling Rock," because they'll look at you like, "What are you talking about?"
Right.
Now there is a bar in the old market that we went to a couple weekends ago that has a downstairs. It's an Irish pub, and they actually have Rolling Rock
Right.
there. And it was like, "Shit, man, give me one of those." you
Right.
know?
Most
Then I
places
tasted
are
it, I'm
already
like-
we already have enough. We have our quota of cheap, shitty beers. We couldn't fit Rolling Rock in with all the others.
Right.
We got Bud and Coors and Bud Light and Coors Light and Miller. That's it, dude. We ran out of options.
The taps are full.
We got to put some good beer out here too.
That's it.
Exactly. So nice. So
All
anyway,
right, let's-
this is kind of
All right.
sweet. Just to finish it off, it's kind of got a sweet but almost hoppy flavor. That's why it's so good. It's weird. It's like an aftertaste that like it's almost desserty. Anyway, let's go.
Let's do it.
Picks.
Let's jump into picks.
So I want to brag on my one big area. Until the very last game of the week that we picked, I was 4-0.
Oh,
I ended up 4-1.
Yes.
Glad I switched my pick.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Evan did not end up 4-1, nor did Joe. They ended up 3-2. I don't know if this is the right direction. It looks good.
It's gonna be backwards, but that's
backwards. There you go. 3-2.
So I was.
Who else was 3-2?
I'm getting there. Evan, Joe were 3-2, and Hadley was 3-2.
All right.
Yeah.
She knew when
That's
to
my
stick
girl.
with Evan. She knew when to stick with Evan, or me. She picked the Cleveland game with me.
That's right.
And she
That's
picked,
right. She picked the Browns.
The Las Vegas game with Ev.
Yes.
And by the way, so to wrap that up, so we all were 3-2, and Hadley was 1-4 last week. Now the total is I'm 7-3, you two were 6-4, and Hadley's catching up 4-6. So again,
yes,
if anybody should bow in shame, it's you two guys got tied with Hadley in picks this week.
Hey,
and that's worse than going 0-3.
I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed by that. She knows her football.
She's awesome.
I'm honored that I'm even keeping up with her.
That's what I mean. I'm saying the same thing. Hell, I'm surprised I'm doing as well as I am.
Yeah.
Way to score points with the viewers that happen to be family members. Good job. Way to kiss that tail.
Yeah.
That was very impressive.
Right.
I'm very good at that. You know how I do. That's fine.
All right,
boys.
So our picks for this week.
Yeah,
Joe,
what game?
You said the Rams and Buffalo.
I was gonna say let's start with.
I got them ready
Rams
for you guys. Rams and Buffalo.
I got them all written down too. So
cool.
Okay.
Ev, what do you think?
I got to go with Buffalo. They look phenomenal. That offense. Josh Allen is playing at an MVP level. And here's the thing with the Rams: they're 2-0. They look decent, but based on who they've played, they barely beat the Cowboys, who are really not playing that well. And they beat up on an Eagles team who has, by the metrics, is rated worse than the Jets right now. The Eagles are an absolute mess. So I just got to go with Buffalo. I think they're the better team. They're at home, I believe. So
yeah,
I gotta pick Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah. So
Buffalo's at home. Yeah.
Joe, what do you think?
Okay. I'm gonna go with the Rams. And here's my reasoning behind it. I did not like the way Buffalo played against a subpar Dolphins team. They just didn't play well, and Dolphins aren't good at all. And they were at home, and they played like shit. If they play like that against the Rams, they will lose. I'm just telling you. So I'm going to go out. I think Buffalo is a better team. I just think the Rams will beat them this week.
All right. I respect that.
All right. Well, I'm taking Buffalo. I'm glad you're picking based on last week, Joe. I'm picking on based on reality, which is Buffalo's a better team.
Yeah, that's what you said about the Saints last week, too. Nice
4-1.
reality.
I went 4-1. And
the one you didn't get was that game.
That's true. But I got
welcome to reality.
Right. Good job on the Cincy game, pal.
Yeah.
That's why you didn't.
Yeah, sometimes you got to go on it. You got to go for a rookie.
No, I'm with it.
What are you going to do?
He had a decent game, but they lost.
Yeah.
And I'd say they lost because they played in Cleveland. Honestly, it was that close of a game. In my opinion, it didn't matter. Okay, so Vegas at New England.
Yes. New England all day. Cam Newton.
Shocker.
He's playing well. New England.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go with New England. I'm going to go with New England because they're at home. And you know what? They put up a fight in Seattle. Seattle's a great club. They obviously screwed it up at the end, but I think that
they could have won.
They should have.
They should have won. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called fake the run, Ev, and throw a pass to one guy.
But here's the thing.
Don't say it.
Pete Carroll did the same thing in the Super Bowl
until it's not proven. Because that's such a bullshit answer.
No,
I agree. Whoa. We'll get into that.
Right,
There's a lot of time for discussion.
Right.
Let's finish the picks.
Last bit I got to say, because you guys said it. He successfully ran the ball in twice, so why not think you're going to get it again?
That's why I.
Right, I understand.
But we'll argue that because it was telegraphed. That's a bullshit reason.
Okay, so Joe, what you picked?
I'm going.
We're on the next game. Yeah, we already picked it. I guess I didn't pick it. I'm going to England too.
Okay.
I didn't even think Las Vegas should have lost last week, but they did, and they played a good game. But they're not beating New England.
I actually think New England is going to crush them.
I think it's going to be a good game.
Okay.
Kansas City versus Baltimore at Baltimore, which sucks.
Yeah,
I wish it
does suck.
At the Chiefs.
Well, I know which way you guys are going.
Sure. If you want to go first,
yeah, KC. I mean, I honestly think that Patrick Mahomes had a bad week last week, and I think he's going to come out with an attitude. And I think he's going to be like, screw this, because there's people all week been questioning them now. Oh, are the Chiefs for real? Are they a pretender? Are they a contender? It's like, okay, you may have just awoke a sleeping giant, so hang on to your ass. Now, we may not win the game because it's in Baltimore, but I'll tell you what, he'll keep it close.
We didn't win the most games last season, and we won the Super Bowl.
That's correct.
Right? So we can just say it like that.
Well, and we're missing 3 of our huge starters on defense.
Right.
Two starting corners and your run stuffer. I mean,
let's not even make excuses. We lost.
Yeah, that's a pretty damn big excuse, though.
No, right.
2 starting corners, that hurts.
We lost last year a couple games. We didn't have Mahomes. We still won the Super Bowl. That's what ultimately matters.
True. As long as we gel by the end of the season, we'll be good.
I'd like to see Kansas City beat Baltimore, and I'm going to say Kansas City's going to beat Baltimore. Think of this. The last 2 seasons, they've had their number both times. So what's to say they aren't going to do it again? Yeah. Though I am concerned about this game in Baltimore. I wouldn't be shocked if Kansas City loses a really close game, but I'm still picking Kansas City because I'm also a homer. Your chance to separate and maybe
where I got to go with Baltimore.
Yeah, I already had it predicted.
One, just to be different from you guys, but 2, Baltimore's at home. Baltimore and KC are the 2 pinnacles of the AFC. It's going to be a slugfest, but I think Lamar Jackson is on a mission this year too, not just Patrick Mahomes.
Oh yeah.
So that KC defense, it's all right, but Lamar Jackson might have a field day.
I just hope our offense is better than last week because that's our defense in this case. They will get better. Offense is our defense. If we can score enough, I think we got it. But if any game to pick of these 2, it's this game at home for Baltimore. I agree. But I also feel like, Joe, I think they might rebound from last week because they didn't play very well.
Absolutely. That's what I think too.
So Green Bay versus New Orleans. In New Orleans, this will
be a good one.
Yeah.
I got to go Green Bay. I think Aaron Rodgers is playing lights out. The Saints, last week, they didn't look that great against Las Vegas. There's some questions about Drew Brees. Is he falling off? I personally don't think that's necessarily the case, but Green Bay is just looking like a better team right now. And, they're hot. They're playing well. I got to go with Green Bay.
Sean, you want to go next?
I'll go next to shake it up. So, if I remember correctly, New Orleans Josh Jacobs didn't run really that great against New Orleans. And I would have thought that would have bigger. They actually got their ass kicked by Darren Waller in the passing game.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Where Green Bay has both options, kind of actually more of a it seems like this year Green Bay has more of a passing game than we all thought they were going to have, and compared to what what their opponents. Though Aaron Jones had a great last week.
Still running the ball real well.
Kicked ass, but they can also run the ball. They proved both kinds of wins the last 2 weeks. And New Orleans defense looks weak, shockingly enough, after holding Tampa down and scoring really good fantasy football defensive points. They didn't do it against Las Vegas, so it was in Las Vegas, but who cares? Green Bay seems too strong right now, and so I'm going to go with Green Bay till they prove us otherwise. So that's 2 for Green Bay right now. Joe?
New Orleans.
Okay, cool. Good.
It's in New Orleans. I mean, I gotta give it. Look, Sean Payton's a coach. He's a great coach. He's going to have his guys ready. You're right. Green Bay's playing well, but eventually I think Green Bay's going to hit a wall, and I think that's this week.
Fair enough. It's going to be a great game.
Aaron Jones is great. I mean, he's been running like a fiend, and Aaron's been throwing the ball. But I just think that
compared to Cam. But anyway,
what's that?
I said except for last week versus Cam.
Yeah, no shit, right? No shit.
Anyway, so yeah,
I'll tell you. Yeah, they burned me. Trust me. And then the last game we've got is Dallas versus Seattle.
Right.
And come on, guys.
You didn't start it, right? You didn't start any yet. You start this one.
Yeah, Seattle. It's not even close. I think they're going to crush Dallas, actually. So
yeah, Dallas.
Dallas
not
is
Dallas. Seattle all day.
Three for Seattle. Three for Seattle.
Three for Seattle. Yeah.
Not much more to say. They let New England get closer than I thought it was going to be, but they still won.
Yeah.
Are
you guys ready?
Let's bring her down.
All right, guys, we're ready.
Damn it. Hold on. Maybe
What?
I can do this.
What?
I'm going to try to get it done. Hold on. Where is it?
Get what done? Holy
Tell
cow!
me if you can hear this. The thing I've been meaning to do every time.
No, I don't know.
There she is.
Oh, I got to share this. You can't hear it.
No. We
There
can't
she
hear
is.
anything.
She has arrived.
Oh, wait. Let me take my headphones out so she can. Hold on.
Oh, yeah. She probably didn't even hear me. There she is.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
I need to figure out the princess music so I can
Hello?
play it for real when it happens.
Can you hear us?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
Just fine.
I love the cat ears, Hadley.
Yeah.
Oh,
They're
show
awesome.
them.
Looks
Show them
great.
the whole thing.
Oh, my gosh.
Nice.
It
Oh,
looks
show them
great.
the rest.
And the rainbow shirt. Oh,
Oh, tail.
a tail. I actually
Ah,
was
you
like,
didn't
what
see
am
the
I
tail?
looking at? Now I did, but it took me a second. Sorry, I was looking. Like,
She's
I don't see any
a kitty
cats.
cat.
I didn't see any cats on the shorts. I'm like, what? Oh, that's not cat shorts. Oh, it's the tail. Duh,
All right.
my bad.
Hold on. I'm going to share screen. Oh,
So for the
hey, Ev, I need your help.
Ev,
I always forget to do that.
we need to start having like a bet me and you have on how long it takes him to get shared up.
What do you
and working.
mean? I'm right here.
And then how long does it take him to
All right.
close
Yeah,
a
seriously.
private bet?
All right.
I'm
you're able
actually
to.
waiting. I'm waiting for. I'm
Well,
waiting
that
for
happens
Ev.
every time too. We
All right,
also
hold on.
have that.
Are you
pack.
moving the tail there? All right, here we go, Had. Are you ready?
Here we go.
All right.
Let's see it.
Here we go. The first one. All right. Let's
So,
see.
by the way,
Ready?
Hadley, you did
All right,
really
here we
good
go.
last week. You
Yeah.
tied both uncle, cousin,
Cousin Evan
and
And-
daddy.
and
Yeah,
Daddy.
you did
You
well.
tied them
We got the
both.
same
Good
score,
job.
3-2. You did so good.
You awesome.
Okay, are you ready? Do you pick the buffalo or the ram?
Oh, that's a tough one.
The ram.
You picked the ram. Okay.
Okay.
Good job. Following Daddy. I like that. Okay. The next one. Do you pick the Raider or do you pick the Patriot?
The man.
You pick the Patriot. Okay.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Love that
Look
one.
at
I love it. I love it.
That, yeah, he does look scary, doesn't he? Okay. Do you pick the wolf or the raven?
The wolf.
You picked the wolf. That's not good.
All right.
That's not
All
good.
right.
He's got you brainwashed now.
Hey.
That's the funny wolf.
She loves the cheesehead.
Pick the cheese head or the saint?
Ah.
You pick the cheese head?
No.
You pick the saint?
Uh,
Whoa!
All right. All right.
All right, I like it. She's going.
Yeah. Yeah. All
What's the
right.
next one?
Okay, the next one. Do you choose the Seahawk or the Cowboy?
Cowboy.
Yeah. All right. It's going with the cowboy.
He does look cooler than
He does. He
It's
does.
amazing how much the Seahawk looks like the Raven. You know?
Seriously.
Yes. Yes. All right. Well, those are your 5 picks.
They look good. All right.
Good job, bud.
Good
Yeah.
picks.
Bye.
Bye. Already. You ready to go?
You're trying to ditch us?
No. What,
So-
you didn't want to say hi to these guys?
She has a really good opportunity to beat us all because she has one game different than all of us.
Yeah,
and
she
has a
can-
mixture between all their other picks. She's in line with us with New England, so there's no difference there. So if she, she could just fall in line with one of us that gets it right, and she
Yeah.
could hit the Dallas-Seattle game, she could beat us all.
5-0.
Yes.
That could be.
Or even she could go 3-2 and we could go 2-3, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
it could shake out that she just gets one extra game on us because she's got that one different one.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Anyway, cool. Let's see how it shakes out.
All right, buddy. We'll just have to see how you do. Okay. Thanks for coming down.
I'm predicting a very, very good week for Hadley.
Okay.
I think she's going to do well. I agree with
She's
you.
gonna do well. I think she's gonna do well.
She
Yeah,
could go.
you gotta go.
Definitely, I feel like she
Gotta
could go 4-1.
Yes. Come here, kitty cat. Over here.
That last one was a little
Hadley.
more risky.
Nice.
Hey, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Love your outfit.
Yes, the kitty ears are off.
The cat outfit.
Say goodbye to
is
everybody.
Wonderful.
She's like, I'm not done yet.
Yeah, they're on. All right.
That was awesome. Good job, Hadley.
Yes.
That was the best. We all organized that to not suck as bad as last week's version.
What's that?
I said I think we all did a better job of making that one not suck as bad as last week. Not Hadley. Us waiting too long to get her in and not handling.
Oh, there's no doubt. Yeah.
This one
I like doing it earlier.
This was great.
Well, and I'm getting used to what buttons to hit.
Right.
Smooth transitions on the slides. It looked good.
Did you like that?
Yeah.
Pretty soon, Joe, you're going to be doing this with it. You're going to do the slide, and you're going to be like, and so this, like Vanna White. But remember, you do it with your beer. You were doing this with your beer. You'll be like, and do you like, it'll be awesome. It'll be so. Anyway, he's getting fixed up.
He's getting fixed up. All right.
So what do you guys want to do next? Do you want me to go nerdy with stats? And it's not going to go too long, but I do want to just talk a little bit and give you guys some previews of what I'm working on, and I'm not ready to get really deep yet because I want more.
Oh, did I freeze?
Of stats, and you're there. We hear you. Plug it in again, or you can hear us. It's probably just not switched over.
Yeah.
No, my pictures froze.
Oh.
You're fine on ours.
Really?
Yeah, you're moving to us. We're not moving to you?
No, you got the whole screen is froze.
That's weird.
Oh. Well, just pretend it's good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like laugh when we laugh, and
fantastic. I'll do my best.
Right. Then nobody will know. Like we'll just edit that part out. Anyway, I got some stat stuff to do. What I was really going to preview this week is just a little bit of that, but the results of our CBS Sports line and looking at the differences. We got 2 losses, 1 win, and what that looked like. So it's not going to go too long. Or we can talk about some other things first, if you'd like. I don't plan to
go with your stats. Go with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen for all you folks out there,
which you are now allowed to do.
Which I'm now allowed to do.
Thanks to you.
And we want to see it.
So this is kind of fun, actually. I'm gonna bounce off the screen. You're gonna see real quick, just because
I do like the stats stuff.
Yeah, I'm having fun with it. I don't have enough information, so we're gonna come back to that. This is CBS Sports Line this week. I'm going to go to the totals, and I'm going to show you some other fun stuff. So the reason I'm showing you this is based on 1 week, which site out of CBS, NFL, and ESPN is doing the best. And all I'm doing is like who's getting the closest to the actuals, okay? And so obviously it's color-based, but if you want to just look over here real quick. So CBS basically got they were closest 11 times. They were second best 2 times, and they were worst 7 times. So if it were me, I would say CBS was the best at picking last week as far as getting closest to the actual. And that the actual means for every player that was on every team in our league, nobody outside of that, whether they were starters or on the bench, I compared their projected score to their actual score and then figured out how close they were. And that's what this is showing here. So NFL was like really Mr. Consistency, in my opinion, right? They were the best 6 times, in the middle 7 times, and the worst 7 times. So they were kind of like all over the place. And then ESPN was like the worst just because they didn't have the most in the middle, but they were like second place almost always. Like if you were like, who's probably kind of close but not the right one, it's ESPN. And they were the least worst, right, by 1 game. Right. So it is interesting. But if you come over here and kind of look at some different things. So, right, who was the best on quarterbacks? Well, not CBS. They were the furthest away, 81 points, right? Their average, they were off by 4 points on average. Above, the players did 4 points better than projected. So at least you weren't upset about how good your quarterback did. You just might have had him on the bench.
Yeah.
They overshot running backs, and so they ended up being the worst, and they were second best at defense, right? That's kind of what this is showing. For those that are interested in standard deviation, this is the fluctuation in their numbers based on the average. So what that means is if they were on average 4 points off on their QBs, they could have been as bad as 11 points off or negative 3 points off. That's what that standard deviation. So the further off, the more the standard deviation, the more they're kind of wild across the board in their picks, right? So that's something I was considering kind of grading, and I did give it a color, but I didn't use that for my rating in this case. So interestingly enough, back to this, like if you look at overall, so this was per position, but as starters, they were the most accurate. On the bench, they were the most accurate, and in total, of course, they were the most accurate. I also did some interesting numbers, which are right here. How many of the picks were they above? Did the player do better? And how many picks did the player do worse? They were the worst at this, which means they overprojected the most. They said your player is going to do better than they actually did the most out of anybody. And they missed it. your players did better than they projected the least number of times, which obviously makes sense. Again, so in this case, NFL was the best at that, and ESPN was in the middle. Like these kind of showed up here. It almost falls in line, right? So I'm going to give you a little taste. So I started doing some players. I only got QBs and quarterbacks so far. So I did all the players, and I'm just going to zoom this back out just for a second to give you.
Did you do Kirk Cousins?
I did all the players.
Wow.
So since you asked me, but what I need to do is clean up the naming. So every site, when I copy and paste and I don't manually type this in, they all kind of have a different format, how they populate the name. As you can see, some of them don't put the position, some of them do yada, yada, dash a line. So I'll fix that. But here we are. So I went through every player, and this was an unfortunate manual thing, and I said, okay, who was the closest? Not what player did the best, but how close were they to the actual, right? And for every player. So then if you wanted to say, how did Kirk Cousins do? I don't think he was in too many. He might have been in 2 teams. But let's just look at Kirk Cousins for a second. But this will he was only on 1 team at that moment. So there is no rating because only one of our teams.
That's because you had him.
No, I didn't have him till the next week. In this week, somebody else had him. You actually had him.
This was week 1?
This was week 1. Right.
Oh, he's on my bench. I didn't play him.
Right. But remember, just as long as he was on somebody's roster.
Yes.
So let's pick a different player. Let's say Ben Roethlisberger because he's close. Okay. So ESPN was the best at Ben Roethlisberger. And it's interesting because they're both the same kind of scoring format. This is kind of cool and interesting. ESPN and NFL use the same scoring because their actual was the same. However, ESPN projected he was going to do a little better than NFL did, which is why they were closer, right? The difference is a little tougher here because their scoring is a little different, as you can see.
Yeah.
CBS obviously gave him more points, but that means they should have projected him to be higher. So they still, in my opinion, get the worst because if they're giving more points for a player, they should also project. So they missed it. They missed it the most. And this is, of course, week 1. So as I get it populated week 2, I could look at Ben for every week, or I could look at players for a certain week, or I can look at, for instance, I'm trying to show you guys kind of what the value of this, and this might be my little secret of when I might be able to beat you or maybe not. Let's see, I just want to say real quickly, how did CBS do overall? And what you would look for here is, like, this is shocking to me, and this is why they were the worst at quarterbacks, right? Look how many times they lost versus how many times they won. Real quick, easy visual. What does this mean? He was the only guy. I'm the only guy who has Kyle Allen. And by the way, I've corrected that, and I thought you did too, Evan, but I was wrong. But Joe had already dropped his. I got to keep him. But I had a major injury in this league, so I felt liberty to be able to drop Kyle Allen since I was going to
ask you
Barkley.
why you dropped him. Because I lost it was only if the player got hurt.
I lost Saquon Barkley, and I obviously have to replace a position of value, and you had dropped your guy, and I thought Evan did, and then I saw A.J. Dillon was there, so I was wrong.
Yeah,
anyway.
I still got him.
Yeah, but I'll get Kyler Murray. I can pick him back up, but I had to get a running back, and my options were limited there. And I don't know that I even have a proven. But anyway, kind of cool there, right? So there we are. Now let's talk about this week because it's the only thing I have done. I only did our teams and the teams we played. This was last week, by the way. This is the numbers that I ultimately got there. So I started with me, right? And again, I didn't use as much greens other than for win-losses, but a couple interesting things to look at is I was projected to get 130 points total for my entire team. This is not just my players that were starting, but everybody. My opponent was 128. How did I do overall for my entire team? 109. He did 140. So I under hit my numbers based on projection by 21 points. He over by 12. Now, how did my starters do? 9 points less than projected. His starters did 4 points better. We kind of talked about this week. And my bench did even worse than that. His bench did. So I got teased by that email that comes out for us. It says he played 2 players that did better. Well, let's look at this for a second. That's true. I played Sammy Watkins, who scored 1 point, and he was only projected to get 6 points, right? I didn't play T.Y. Hilton. That was projected to get more, but only got 2 points. The net difference was my guy actually was closer to his number than T.Y. Hilton was, but he didn't score as many. That's true. Yeah. What was the other guy? It was Jonathan Taylor. Actually, this is where I picked up Naheem Hines this week in this league. If you remember last week, which player did better, Naheem or Jonathan Taylor?
It was Naheem.
Dramatically. What would you do? Right? And he was projected not to be way out, but he was under project. He was at 8.2, and Jonathan was. Now, what happened? Naheem didn't get a single point. Jonathan Taylor lit it up. Now, I lost. I was under by 21, by the way. And here's my starter. So I was projected to get 97.21. My opponent was 97.12. So I was barely projected to win. I got 88 points. Even if I'd have played Jonathan Taylor, I would have got what? I would have got 16 points. I would have won that game.
You would have.
Yeah.
No, I would have tied. No, I would have won by 104. So that did cost me, and I have to admit that. Notice something interesting about this guy. You see any reds in this column at all?
No, not a one.
Well, he had some players underperform. So back to this interesting. I had 4 of my people overperform, 10 underperform. He had more overperform than he did under, but his projected was better, his bench was better, or starters were better, and his bench was better. And he actually did better than his numbers. So yeah, he should win. That's what this is really to show. Is like, it could show if we just totally fuck it up and like don't start the guys that are projected better. They're on our bench and they actually do better, and you lose. That's kind of on you. I don't feel this is like the case. My starters beat their projections. Right, I had less lost points there than I did my bench. So in general, I did better, but a couple players. Yeah. Right, this guy could have almost did it, whatever he wanted, and he was going to win this game. I mean,
fair enough.
So let's look at Ev and his opponent. So this is really interesting. Notice something about Ev's team. Like you said, he did really well. He had no negatives here. He had a couple players miss it, but he outperformed, right, both in his entire team by 30 points. His starters, he actually did great. His starters scored more points than his bench did. He outperformed by 23 points, but his opponent outperformed by 44.
Right, exactly, and I still lost.
Right, his bench was the difference. Actually, his bench outperformed by the points his team was. His bench, the guy made the right choice, but he'd only lost 1.76 points, of the projected. So the guy had it easy. He won.
I think he scored the most points in the
even
league.
If you look at the initial projections, right, he was projected to get 103. You were projected to lose the game to begin with by 95 to 103. So that's not a shocker. Let's look at Joe. And so Ev won, and Joe and I didn't win, but my team sucked. Joe also had really good numbers, right? He outperformed. He had more players go positive than negative. His starters, while they didn't outperform the bench, a couple points, and it was really close. He beat his projection by 10 points, but his opponent beat his projection by 25, right? And it was supposed to be 105 to 98. Joe was supposed to win, but he didn't outperform as well as the opponent did. Could Joe have won? This is a comment I made earlier. Yeah, if he'd have played Cam Newton, who Joe played the right guy based on projections. Cam was supposed to get 21.84. Aaron was supposed to be 23. Aaron didn't perform as well as projections, but still scored better than Cam was supposed to score. But Cam scored 35 points.
Right.
And so Joe could have won just like I could have won with Jonathan Taylor. But that was kind of the only area that really cost him the game. I mean, Terry McLaughlin scored, 8 points better, but your receivers did well. And I think – Terry was supposed to get 9.21. So you had 9.02. So you picked one guy slightly less, but he still outperformed his numbers.
Still played.
Right. All your guys outperformed their numbers, so you can't really bang on that too much. So I think it's interesting. It's your opponent, right? He missed it only on his bench. He started the right players, and it helped. And if you were to look at it, like obviously he's got some starters that didn't outperform their projections, but it wasn't as much as how much his bench didn't outperform their numbers, right? That's these two numbers. That's the point. So this still doesn't change the fact that you won or lost. By the way, Dolphins are winning 7-0.
I saw that.
But it does help you understand.
Who scored the touchdown for the Dolphins?
P. Williams.
I didn't see it. Yeah, bummer.
Fitzpatrick threw it to P. Williams.
So it doesn't change your win or loss, but it might help you over time. Which is what my goal is, to figure out who you might trust as far as a statistical projector. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're in multiple leagues, you might ignore one of your leagues and go look at your other ones and go, this is what I'm going to base my choices off of, because this league sucks at that particular position.
Right.
Or as I get my individual positions figured out, if you got that guy, you go compare over a longer trend. How is this player doing on these different platforms? Who do I trust the most? Right? Where does his averages? So it's gonna develop to be kind of neat. It might not be worth anything till the end of the year, but I'm hoping in a couple weeks we'll get some trends that we can then use to maybe be more accurate.
Well, man, these numbers are awesome. They really are. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes.
I hope they are. They seem awesome. It's very interesting, insightful information.
At least up to this point. So I mean, we'll need to watch the whole season to see where it goes.
Right.
But if it is a trend, then maybe
we can
sell those numbers and take this show.
And I'm doing
a
really painful spreadsheet copy paste method. If it was useful,
it is
right,
painful.
I'm sure these platforms we're playing in, a lot of that is all computer generated. They're getting the stats in. They're having machines crunch all that number automatically and spit out something. And then you got to kind of sort through it. What I find more interesting by the fact that I got to touch it is you kind of you see it more, and you like pick up on things as a human, seeing some things that a computer is just going to generate numbers.
Right.
And so I do hope it becomes valuable, because as Joe and I were talking earlier, some of the players that did really great in week 1 didn't have a great week 2. Some of them did. And it's that trend that usually is what you're after, or at least finding that why did they, right? I want to add the defense component that I haven't yet, that our leagues are doing. They go, this team's, they're playing the defense ranked number 1 against the run. But if they played patty cake you the last 2 weeks, that number means nothing, right? What means more is, well, they're number 1. How did that player that they played against, or that let's say it's running backs, how did those running backs for that team fare against other teams? Did they suck all the time? Because that means more. Or did they only do bad against this defense, and every team did bad against this team? Then you can start to go, yeah, that's the best team. And again, early in the season, that's hard to do. So,
it's hard to make trends after week 2.
Yeah. Let's move on and talk some games. Let's go over some of the happenings.
What was the biggest surprise you guys last week?
Biggest surprise?
The last call of the Seattle New England game.
Okay.
I was scratching my head. I mean, I thought McDaniels. I think Bill Belichick ultimately is responsible for that call, and he needs to be held accountable as a head coach. Look, Evan, I know you're going to say they ran it twice. It worked both times. Keep doing what works. Yep. But the fact of the matter is, if you actually watched that game, you saw Pete Carroll call Bobby Wagner, his linebacker, over to the bench, and he's pointing at Cam Newton. He's telling Bobby Wagner, the whole world saw it. I turned to my wife and I said, he's going to run it, and they're going to stuff him because they're ready for it. He's telling Bobby Wagner, be ready for this play. You know what's coming. Go stop it. And when that guy came in from the side and took that guy's legs out, that's exactly what they did, because they knew exactly where he was going to go. If they would have put a little thought in it, had him tuck the ball, and then step back and pop it over the top, somebody's wide open, because they would have all bit. Every member of that Seattle defense would have bit. They just weren't thinking, man. It's like, yes, it worked, but because it worked, now change it, because now since it has worked, they know you're going to do it again.
I mean, I understand. Here's the thing: hindsight is 20/20. So, while I agree, would that have worked? Potentially. There's no way of necessarily knowing that. So, you put the ball in the hands of your playmakers, right? So, I don't want to keep referring back to Marshawn Lynch in the Super Bowl, because it's a completely different situation, right? Everybody said he should have ran the ball. Why did they say that? Because Russell Wilson threw an interception. Hindsight's 20/20. If they had scored the touchdown, would have been a genius call. Same thing with Cam Newton, in the sense that you put the ball in the hands of your playmakers. Let's say they threw the ball.
Right, but he's not the only playmaker on that team.
He's the best one by far.
Well, yeah, that's opinion. I mean, that's your opinion because it's your team. But it's like, well, there's playmakers on that team all around him.
He's already scored.
He doesn't win every game by himself.
Well, of course
he doesn't pass the ball to himself.
Of course not. And I will say he had a good day throwing the ball. It's not like he wasn't throwing it well, but you put the ball in the hands of your playmakers and you allow them to make a play. And if they can't make a play at the 1-yard line, I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. I've always been a proponent of, if you can't score from the 1 yard line, even if the defense knows it's coming, how many times have you still seen the offense score? They still can get it in. So it's if you can't get it in from the 1 yard line, you don't deserve to win the game. And you know what? They didn't execute it. It was a good game. I'm not going to judge the call because
you're not going to judge the call because you're a New England fan.
No,
and New England fan is judging that call. Just like we wouldn't judge.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Game.
That's not true. People I've talked to this past week actually have said, "Oh, what a horrible call." So there's a lot of people here who, if it was the opposite, and I'm looking at it from a neutral perspective, I would still agree with the call. I think you put it in the hands of Cam Newton, and you pick you allow it to play out as it plays out. I think maybe not 9 times out of 10, but I think more often than not, he scores on that play.
I understand why they made the play call, but if I am shocked not by the game at all. I thought it was a close game. I thought it was going to be a pretty good game. I actually was more shocked that New England kept it as close and could have won the game on the very last play. But usually New England comes up with something as a gimmick and kind of knows how to overdo it. That was we're going to prove we can brute force it, and normally New England doesn't do that. We're we're going to make it look like we're going to do exactly this, and then we don't do that, and we kick your ass, right? And so that's kind of what I expected, and so to see the run, and I felt the same way. I'm like, I think he's going to run it. I mean, look at the formation. He's running the fucking ball. I wonder if they're going to pass.
They knew which way he was going to run.
And as soon as he ran and kept it, I was thrilled. Honestly, I was like, yes, he kept it, because I was like, oh, they're in trouble if he passes that ball. Now back to the statement, because I'm going to jump back on the stats thing, and I already knew this, but I wanted to pull it. Joe, Cam Newton has more rushing yards than James Conner, Dalvin Cook, Todd Gurley, Joe Mixon. He has the same number of rushing touchdowns as the best player in the NFL from a running back position, which is Christian McCaffrey. So from a running back perspective, he's a stud. He's not the best quarterback from a passing perspective, right? But back to that, no other player on New England has more rushing yards or rushing touchdowns than Cam Newton. So he is the
John. And I'm not saying hand it off to somebody.
No,
I'm saying pass the ball. I'm saying they're expecting run.
Yeah.
They're expecting him to run the ball the whole way.
No, that wasn't what I'm talking about. You were like, he's not their playmaker. You said he's not their playmaker, and I'm like, I'm arguing that.
I personally don't think he is. I don't know. What I said is he's not the only playmaker on that team.
True.
That's what I said, and that's the truth. There's a lot of playmakers. You got Julian Edelman. How many rings does he have? How many does Cam have? Hey, listen, you want to talk about playmakers, there's a lot better playmakers than Cam Newton on that team until he proves it. But he's not there yet. Yeah, he scored a couple touchdowns, but don't tell me you put it in the ball of the hand of your playmaker. You've got a ton of them on the field. Jesus Christ, man, throw it. I mean, somebody's going to be open. Somebody's going to be open because they stacked it. Did you look at their formation? I mean, they were bunched in. They knew
if New England comes
they
out,
knew it was going to the left.
If New England comes out with playmakers, Seattle is going to have a different defense.
Wow, I didn't realize this. Cam is the top 10. He's the 10th best from passing yards in the league, guys.
Well, he only has one touchdown.
Right, but he only has one passing touchdown. That's why his fantasy points aren't as good. But he's throwing the ball a ton. To be quite honest, I didn't realize
they're just running it in the end zone.
Yes, once they get close.
He actually passed a ton in this because they had to. They were behind.
Threw for almost 400 yards.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when you're losing. I mean, you got to throw a lot. You can't run the ball,
especially on the last play of the game.
I think. Regardless,
let's move on.
Regardless, New England looks good. I think they look like a scary.
They look better than we thought. I think.
Yes.
Not better. Hey, I said they were going to win the division.
No, then I'm saying collectively, not Evan only. I think Joe and I felt differently than you, and I think we'd both agree they're better than they looked so far. But they're 1-1, so you can say what you want. You can look you can look as good as you want, but if you don't make the playoffs or win the Super Bowl, ultimately, okay.
Fair enough.
I picked Miami to win the division, and they're winning right now, so fuck off.
Yeah, but they haven't won up to this point.
Well, that's all right. You got to start somewhere.
So my biggest shocker, actually, and there's several, was I had to look back at the game scores to kind of refresh my memory, but I know it's the Vikings this year.
Yeah,
Indy got beat. Indy got beat by Minshew, right? And they looked good, and the passing game kind of tore up Indy. And so I'm thinking the Vikes are coming to town. They're a pretty good team. They had a great passing game the week before. And Kirk Cousins threw it to the
I don't know if it was
and
great.
left. He had negative fantasy points. No. They scored points, right?
Right, it was
and
okay.
Indy didn't show anything that made me think they were better than Green Bay. And it was a close game against Green Bay. And Indy, they got their ass handed to them. And so I'm going, what the fuck is up with the Vikings? Because Dalvin Cook actually had decent fantasy numbers. He ran the ball. They didn't score a lot of points, so that didn't help them. But Kirk Cousins, which I should have known better than to pick him up and start him because I hate the guy, he was shitty. To be quite honest, he had negative fantasy.
He got negative points. That's just awesome.
If you can get negative fantasy points,
I see that,
again, you gave the ball to the other team, and then you left for the day. Like, I don't know what else to say. You were throwing it backwards, I guess, because you don't get positive yards, points.
Well, dude,
and throw it backwards.
Thielen's a joke. He got 36 yards. Listen, he's the only guy they've got. So he's being double teamed. They're pulling a guy across the field.
Right. They got a running game, too. And they usually throw to their tight end once in a while. But they had nothing. I mean, the running game was the best thing. But
they're horrible.
They better get something figured out. Their defense is
division.
shitty. They couldn't stop the Colts. And,
No.
Phillip Rivers, who, couldn't beat Jacksonville, destroyed the Vikings. So the Vikings need to figure some shit out. I was born there. They're my home team. But they're the shocker to me is they're 0-2 and looking like crap in the second week.
I would agree with that.
It's a good shocker.
Have you got any for us, or are you just into the
I don't have too many. Honestly, in terms of last week,
I'm going to throw one out there if you don't come up with something, because I just have a question for you.
I got one.
You already gave us one. You said New England.
In terms of shockers, I'm looking at the scores right now, and I guess I could, I would say something that's not necessarily a shocker, but
unexpected.
What stands out to the most to me is the amount of injuries that took place last.
That happened in the second week.
The 49ers basically lost their whole team.
Their whole team.
We got Saquon Barkley going down, but I'm also not that shocked by it because of the reduced training camp, no preseason games. There was a part of me that felt like there might be an uptick in injuries, and I'm curious to see if this is going to be a trend or if it's just a 1 week of like, oh my gosh, because multiple guys are out for the year after last week.
So, Ev, I like where you're going, and Joe, I know you'll need to turn talk, but I'm on the same page with Evan, and you hit things I was going to point out, which is at first, week 1, I made a comment to Joe, man, maybe we don't need a preseason because nobody's hardly getting hurt in the first week. Usually preseason, we're losing guys, some important players throughout the preseason. Teams were still be able to get their rosters down, and the games were decently good. They weren't like really sloppy. There was some sloppiness, but for first week, it wasn't horrible.
Wasn't bad.
Then the second week happens, all these injuries, and I think I maybe was chatting with my wife, and I'm like, yeah, I think it's, as Eb said, the fact that they didn't have preseason, their bodies didn't get the same wear and tear where you start to lose guys during the preseason.
And
the injury. So now we're seeing
you.
it in week 2, and that's cool. I'm glad you do. Now we're in week 2. Their bodies are starting to get beat up, and they're getting that injury. Okay, the other piece. I got you, Joe.
No. Yeah, when we
that
talked,
period of time they didn't get that period of the preseason to see the injuries we'd normally see. Instead, it happened in week 2 once their bodies were starting to get banged up a little. And like you said, Evan, it will be interesting to see if preseason was 4 weeks, and we usually saw, throughout those 4 weeks, somebody good was going down, and just players in general were getting hurt. So is there more to come? Is there 2 more weeks worth of it, or is it going to tail off? So it'll be really interesting. Go ahead, Joe.
Well, I guess what I was going to say on to that is when you and I were having that conversation, I argued against you. I said I think preseason
Yes, you did.
Is absolutely necessary to get the players ready.
Right.
And you were like, you know what? We're not having the injuries, though. That's exactly it.
Right. I didn't mean to imply you agreed with me. Sorry.
I got you. I got you. Yeah,
I meant to say this is what I was saying to you, not that we both agreed. Yes.
Yeah, because I'm a huge proponent of preseason, a huge proponent of it, just because – you got to get into game shape. And they say, well, we can do that in practice. No, you can't.
No, you can't.
You can't.
Apparently, this
not
last
possible.
week showed us that.
Well, absolutely. And I think, and you're right, John. I think we've got weeks to come of this. I think there's more injuries to come, and it's unfortunate because, Christian McCaffrey. Now he's not out for the year, but he's out for multiple weeks.
Yeah.
Saquon's gone. Nick Bosa's gone. Now, Garoppolo's not out for the season, I don't believe.
Right, but he's hurt.
Multiple
But he's hurt.
Multiple weeks.
So,
Le'Veon
I
Bell,
mean-
who cares? You got the tight end.
George Kittle.
Kittle. How long is he out
but he's
for?
back this week.
He should
Okay.
be back this week.
Yeah.
We had
There
a
was a
couple
few
other
others.
significant ones that were
Most Stairt running
right.
back.
Yeah. Right,
Most
after- yes. Yeah,
So, I mean, it's a huge deal, and I hope the owners meet and they talk about this because they were actually talking about just getting rid of preseason.
Well,
Just saying.
might they argue it happens either way in the preseason? So why not?
right.
Yeah,
That
it does,
might
but
be
I'm not
it,
sure that it
exactly.
happens to the same degree.
I don't remember it happening to this.
Jesus,
Well, I
in
think
week
it's more
2
spread out, right? Your starters don't play as much in the preseason.
That's
They
right.
only get limited time, so
That's
the
right.
amount of time
Limited
they
reps.
is
Does
limited.
that limited
But
reps? get
somebody
them in the
usually gets
game?
hurt. Right.
I think it does because I think in the first game they play the first half.
Right.
Maybe the first 2 games they play the first half, and then
Ease them
in
into
the
it.
third game you play 2 or 3 series, and then a lot of times in the fourth game, unless they haven't showed well, you don't even play.
Yeah, or
Right,
one
but yes,
drive, one
those are
drive
reps
and you're
that you
done.
get in a real game situation. So yes, I think that definitely helps as far
Well,
as
definitely
getting you
live
into football
contact,
shape.
right? More
Yeah.
live
Yeah, of
contact than
course.
in practice.
And you know,
If
a
you're
lot of times they
starter-
don't get that in practice. They don't let them touch the quarterback.
No, and
I
and
mean,
a lot of the
Jesus
other
Christ,
star
you know,
players.
because then now you're just asking for problems.
Yeah.
Right.
But the one thing I was going to say, John, the other game that really caught my eye was Dallas-Atlanta.
Yeah.
And the reason it caught my eye was because an onside kick. First of all, they've made it foolproof to even be able to recover one.
That was a beautiful onside kick.
No, well, no,
Terrible.
the guy, John and I
Yeah.
talked about the guy fucked up. You can't touch a guy or the ball until it goes 10 yards.
All
But
right.
the other team can come up and touch the ball, and
Well,
you
right.
can't do anything
And
about
that guy
it.
They
watched
should've.
it go by him.
That guy watched it go by. If he'd have just fallen on it, you're
Right.
dead.
Obviously, if he had fell on it, touched it, and it came loose, that's one thing. But nobody could even try to hit him as he's going
But
after
you
it.
can't touch him
Right,
until
right.
he's down on the ball.
Right.
So
he
you
should've
should
went after it.
never, ever be able to recover an onside the way the rules are now. So
Not
for
like
that
that
to
anyway,
even
but
happen,
it did work out. The whole team failed because the guys
Oh,
behind him,
God.
right? His job, the first level, his job is to block, not to touch the ball.
Yeah.
But it was
Right.
going so slow, and he literally like looks at it in the camera and then goes by it, right? But
yeah.
his job is really to block. So that was
Yeah.
probably what's going through his head. The ball's right here, but I'm supposed to do this. But the guys behind him didn't get up there. The ball's moving so
Right.
slow, and they're standing back waiting for it. Well, it needs to go 10 yards. If you stand back too far and it's going that slow, the other team's going to beat you to the ball.
I wonder
which
if
is what
they
happened.
were thinking, don't touch it, it's
might
not
go out
going
of
to go
bounds.
10 yards.
Right,
think
maybe,
that's what they were
but
thinking.
that's back
And-
to it is, in that 10-yard zone, you're still safe. You're better off being safe
You're better
than
off
sorry
just
because
going
that's what happened.
grabbing it.
Sure.
Yeah, that was so silly. Normally, you
Sure.
know, we always saw you want it to pop up in the air, so
Oh,
that you
yeah.
try to go up for it, and then you just clean
Yeah.
his clock and hope the ball
Yeah.
pops loose.
They
Right?
don't let that
that's
happen
the goal.
anymore.
That's
I
the
will.
goal.
I will say that was the most Atlanta Falcons thing I think I've ever seen.
Oh yes,
Oh, yeah.
That
except
is-
for in a Super Bowl. I mean,
Well, yeah. Where do we think this stems
Oh,
from?
and I'm going to throw this out there just to throw this down. So far in the first 2 weeks, I've been right about Todd Gurley and Austin Hooper.
Fair enough.
Both.
Fair enough.
Austin Hooper is crap, has done nothing. As a matter of fact, if you look at the numbers, John, of Hayden Hurst, who came from Baltimore to Atlanta, and
Yeah.
look at get
Not
his
better.
numbers as opposed to Hooper's, you tell me, because I said Hayden Hurst is going to have a better year,
yeah, Hooper's terrible.
and
I
so
mean,
far
not just
I'm
Hooper.
right.
Still don't feel strongly that Hooper's a terrible player, but the team he plays for is so bad.
Well, but that was part of why I said
know,
that.
I know.
He went to a worse team.
Baker Mayfield. So two people I'm not in love with that other people might think better of, but Baker Mayfield and Daniel Jones have not in any way made me feel like they're good players.
They need to step
Well,
up.
no,
I like
Daniel
both. I like
Jones-
their qualities. I think they have the potential to be great quarterbacks, but they haven't played well. They haven't
Well,
shown.
you know, the bad thing is, Daniel Jones, I would at least give a little credit to because he doesn't have Baker Mayfield's
Yeah.
team.
Right.
Yeah.
He's his
Baker
second
Mayfield
year,
is
I get it.
surrounded by stallions, and that son of a bitch still can't play. I mean,
Right.
Daniel Jones
Right.
doesn't have an offensive line. Now Saquon's out for the year. I mean, this kid's
Right.
just
He's in
fucked.
trouble.
Jones looked good last year when he was playing.
Yeah, he
He
didn't
had
look bad.
moments. He had moments.
So-
You know, but Man, I'll tell you, Baker, they've surrounded him with weapons. And yeah, okay, they beat Cincinnati, but barely.
Right. So here's
at home.
Here's some interesting facts. I'm not going to count Nick Mullins because he had to replace Garoppolo, so his rating isn't maybe as fair.
Right.
So guess who the worst player in the league based on rating is so far this season?
Who is it?
Kirk Cousins.
I'm not surprised.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
Followed by Carson Wentz, and then Daniel Jones is the third from the bottom.
Third?
Right.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is actually higher than him and only barely higher than Joe Burrow. And both actually Baker and Joe are both above Tom Brady from a rating perspective.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Tom Brady.
Holy shit. Right.
Yeah.
So actually, while I'm not impressed, because I don't care, 81.9% rating, 81.9, rating is not good. Right.
No.
This is not a good number, but it's not as bad as, Tom Brady's 79.3, so that's not terrible. But his team won last week, but Tom Brady didn't have a great game yet again. From a stats perspective, he did not do anything special.
Right.
Evan's probably smiling, right?
No, he's still trying to build rapport.
Yeah.
He doesn't. It just seems like him and his receivers and
He's
the
got
tight
such
end.
good receivers, and they're just not doing it.
They're just a little off.
Gronk's got 0 points still in fantasy.
Yeah.
He's done 0.
I'm actually not shocked by that.
Do you know what? I read an article about this, and they said that this was from Arians, and he said, we actually have not put Gronkowski in our game plan.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like their game plan is for him to maybe touch the ball 3 times. And what the critics said was that they think Gronk is becoming disgruntled because he's not the star that he was.
Right. Why would you
in New England?
You would join this team to make an impact. And if you're not doing anything.
That's why
he's like, why
I
am
be here?
back?
He's like, I was retired for a reason. I didn't need the money. I thought we were going to come play a game and win some, kick some ass.
Win a championship.
I'm not even catching any balls from Tom. Tom's not even throwing any balls.
It's possible they're easing him into it and they want to preserve him. But at the same time, even when he's out there running routes, he looks like he's lost a step. He doesn't look like the Gronk of old. So,
it's they're just their timing's off. It's just.
And
I don't know, man.
This is one of those things that we'll see how it progresses over the season. I don't have too much concern, but it's something to monitor.
I don't have any concern because I don't really care, but it's fun to watch.
That's right. I'm thrilled. In terms of our picks, in terms of who we think.
Yes. Now, real quick, John, let me throw out my 3-team parlay of the week.
Please. Yeah.
Okay. So last week, I went on my 3-team. I went 2 out of 3, of course. Buffalo fucked me. And on my 9-team, I went 8 out of 9. Buffalo fucked me. Damn. They were up by 11 points with less than a minute. They gave a garbage touchdown to bring it within 4.
The fucking
spread was 5.5.
Yeah.
And that happens in gambling. That's why garbage touchdowns, you hope they get up by more than what a garbage touchdown can bring it within because they're always going to give up that. So that fucked me. But I thought, 8 out of 9 is pretty damn good.
It is.
All right, so this week's 3-team parlay, I've got San Francisco -4 against the Giants. Okay. Because even though San Francisco has injuries, the Giants
they're terrible.
Mullins starting at quarterback.
It doesn't matter. He could hand off the whole game. He could pass ducks to George Kittle.
I don't know.
They'll beat the Giants are so bad. They don't have a running back. They don't have an offensive line. Daniel Jones is going to be running for his life. Yeah.
I don't love it. I don't love it. I am shocked that they kept it as close against the Bears as they did. You
have to understand that Mullins came in early.
Yeah.
And they still crushed.
Yeah.
The Jets.
No, they did. And so I'm not. I get it. I'm not going to say it.
And they'll crush the Giants.
But
the Giants are just
I would have worried a little bit more about picking a team that just suffered a bunch of injuries. But you're right. Yeah. They should kill them.
Yeah. Okay. And then I've got Tampa Bay -6.
Okay. So that's against who? Who are they playing?
Oh, I thought you guys had it up.
Broncos, right? Yeah.
They're playing. Yes, Denver. Yes.
Tampa -6 against Denver. Ooh.
Yes.
Again, another Drew Lock. That's an injury.
Drew Lock's out.
They lost their top receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindsey's hasn't been. They lost their receiver too. Ooh.
Yeah, their top receiver. What's his name?
Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Cortland Sutton.
So there goes their offense. I mean,
And Philip, not that Melvin Gordon's been doing okay, but Lindsey's been hurt with turf toe, and I don't know if he's going to be back. But yeah, Broncos -4.
Fair,
it's in Mile High, and I don't know about
-6.
-6.
To be fair, Tom Brady has always struggled against the Broncos.
No, so let me ask you. So Tampa's favored or not favored?
They're
They're
favored.
favored.
By 6.
Yes.
And you picked them.
Yes.
Not a horrible
Yeah,
pick.
I don't love that, but not a horrible pick. They should win. Buck should win, but I don't know about 6.
Yes. Denver's defense is horrible, and now you've lost Drew Lock and Cortland Sutton. I just put 2 and 2 together.
Jeff Driscoll didn't look that bad last week.
Such a.
We talked about Jeff Driscoll earlier this year in the show, and
we did,
and his numbers were not very impressive for the single game that he played, and it was for Detroit.
We did. And who did Denver play this last weekend?
Somebody. That's a great. Let me look it up.
They played Pittsburgh.
I got it in front of me.
There. Yeah, they played Pittsburgh and lost, but not by a ton.
They only lost by 5.
Right. In Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it was in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Now this one's back in Denver, and Denver had an okay game the first week. I don't remember who they played now, but
yeah.
Las Vegas.
Vegas. No, they didn't play Las Vegas the first week.
First week. You
No.
sure?
Yep.
Anyway, what's your next one, Joe?
And my last one is Pittsburgh -4 against Houston.
Okay. I like that.
Me too.
I'm on board with that.
Yep, me too. I think that's a safe pick.
I thought about taking Indianapolis over the Jets, but it's -11.5.
Yeah, that one's tough.
I don't like them that much.
Right. The Colts should win, but that's a lot of, like you said, that trash scoring can start to become a factor. You're up by 14.
Well, I thought
you're
about
up by 14 and you're just trying to kill clock. You don't care if they drive down the field.
And the Jets have been scoring a lot of points in garbage time.
Well, I thought about Arizona -5.5 against Detroit, but Detroit scares me. And they just scare me, and they get Galladay back this week.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So I'm like,
Cardinals have been very strong, but still
they have.
The Lions could score some points. The Cardinals still should win. The spread is.
I think the Cardinals blow them out.
Yes, they'll be on my 9-teamer for sure.
Yeah, well, you're going to buy some points. That's well worth it then.
Right.
It's still shocking you lost the Buffalo pick in that parlay with points.
I know.
Jesus Christ, that was.
What can you do?
Cry. That's what I would do.
Cry. Exactly.
No. Let me correct that. That's wrong. Buffalo cost me my 3-teamer. Minnesota cost me my 9-teamer.
Yeah, because
Buffalo covered on. They covered on. Yes, they covered on the tees, but I had Minnesota +10.5.
Jesus Christ.
+10.5.
That's why Minnesota's so bad.
Against Indianapolis.
And did they lose like 11?
10.5.
Yeah, that's terrible.
That's sad.
That's how I lost my 9-teamer.
That's sad.
Fucking Minnesota. They've cost me 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, don't bet on those motherfuckers.
Don't take them.
No.
Don't touch them.
I'm staying away from them. Fuck them.
If you guys see me pick up Kirk Cousins the rest of the season, shoot me. Just fucking send the missile.
Well, dude, we thought you'd have a bag over your head, so we're a little disappointed about that.
I'm disappointed in myself. Once I got down in here and you said, I was like, oh, there is one thing I forgot.
That's the bag.
It was a bag. Yeah.
Well, boys, is there anything else to discuss on tonight's show?
No, I think we did good.
I don't believe so.
We actually ran longer than I thought we did. It felt like it went fast, guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you went a little long on your number section, but there's a lot to talk about. I mean,
it seemed fast, but yeah, there was a lot. I mean, I tried not to talk about too much. I just wanted to give you.
I feel like it all was spread out pretty.
It was
timely. At least we didn't fuck up. So anyway, good show, gents. We'll see you all next week, and
all right.
Enjoy the weekend and
watch some
go
football.
Kansas City.
Go Pats.
Oh yeah, go Chiefs. Hey, you know what? If anybody feels like getting on a little zoomy zoom during the Monday night game, so we can yell at each other,
that would be cool.
That could be a consideration. Right. You know, get on and have the big screen on in the background, and so we can scream at Evan. Be like, you bitch! Why'd you pick the Baltimore Ravens?
Right, as long as it's not recorded so they don't see us cry, Joe.
Yeah, they might see us cry.
Oh, we're definitely recording that.
Yeah, I was going to say, Evan's got the record button, man. We're screwed.
Yeah. Shit.
We're done.
Yes, I hold the power.
Exactly.
All right, my man.
Take care. Have a good one.
Until next time.
All right.
Peace.
See you guys.
Later.